Peace and Pan-Africanism, peace and Pan-Africanism. Peace and Pan-Africanism, peace and Pan-Africanism. Peace and Pan-Africanism, peace and Pan-Africanism, brothers and sisters. This is your big brother, Ifa Tunde, King Kong Consciousness, live from Shreveport. Live from Shreveport. Live from Shreveport. Just a quick info message from Intercontinental Ifa Tunde. Thanks to the entire Shreveport family for coming out last night. Thanks to the entire Shreveport family for coming out last night. I thoroughly enjoyed the seminar. I thoroughly enjoyed the dinner at the casino. Lamb chops, sea bass, two of my favorite meals, probably my two most favorite meals, and I ate them together. Thank you for that, past amazing company. Enjoyed that sea bass and lamb chops last night at the casino restaurant. Brothers and sisters, next stop will be Monrovia, Liberia, West Africa. Next stop will be Monrovia, Liberia, West Africa. Next stop will be Monrovia, Liberia, West Africa, February 13th through the 17th. I will be a guest of honor of the mayor of Monrovia, Liberia, as we celebrate the bicentennial. As we celebrate the bicentennial of the return of the enslaved American African back home to Liberia. We celebrate the 200 years since the first enslaved Africans in America returned home to build an independent reality for themselves in Liberia. This is not my first trip to Liberia. It is my second trip to Liberia. I actually typed part of my first book, Psychoacademic Holocaust, while I was in Liberia. So I'm looking forward to that. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I will see you the 24th and 25th, Thursday and Friday of February. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. That last Thursday and Friday, I will see you in Milwaukee. 2 days. Pull-up team. Here's what I wanted to say. Here's what I wanted to say today as I prepare to take my tour of Shreveport today before heading back to Philadelphia. Tonight, 45 minutes past midnight, we celebrate the revolutionary new moon of Aquarius, the activist, the leader, the renegade, Shango power. Tonight, 45 minutes past midnight, you better get your meditation on. Leo season comes in at midnight tonight. Black History Month comes in at midnight tonight. Bishop Henry McNeil Turner's birthday comes in at midnight tonight. Bishop Turner was the first black man in America to say God was black. AME Bishop took Africans back home to Africa, one of the first blacks elected during Reconstruction, one of the first black leaders to have to travel with full-time security due to the death threats he was getting. He was Marcus Garvey before Marcus Garvey, buried in Atlanta. Here's what I wanted to say. Pedophilia. The move to legalize pedophilia is alive and well. The movement to legalize pedophilia is alive and well. In case you're not aware, 16 is already the age of sexual majority in most states in this country. I repeat, 16 became the age of sexual majority, I want to say, around somewhere between 2005 and 2010, 16 became the age of sexual majority in most states in America. They reduced it from 18. So you could make the argument, brothers and sisters. The argument could be made right now that pedophilia is already legal. If you consider sex between a child under 18 with someone over 18 as pedophilia, it's already legal. It's already legal. In most states, your 16-year-old daughter can have an affair with the 50-year-old man around the corner, and he cannot be arrested for statutory rape. Your 16-year-old son could be in a relationship with the 45-year-old woman. She cannot be arrested for statutory rape. So if you look at pedophilia as sex under the age of 18, someone under the age of 18 having relations legally, being able to legally have relations with someone over the age of 18, pedophilia is already normal. It's already normal. So let's just understand that. It's already normal. If you consider 16-year-olds to be children, pedophilia is already normal. Let us be very clear. Let us be very clear. And then when you add to that the fact that 16-year-olds can get abortions in many states without parental consent, when you add to that a 16-year-old can get an abortion without parental consent, have they not already made 16-year-olds adults? Have they not already effectively reduced parental control over their children by making 16-year-old sex legal, 16-year-old abortion legal? 16-year-olds can get mental health treatment privately. In some states, a 14-year-old, in some states, a 14-year-old can get mental health treatment confidentially, and the parents cannot be made aware of what's going on unless the child gives the therapist or the doctor consent. 14-year-old children can get mental health, and I support them getting mental health on their own, but I don't support their parents not knowing. I don't support their parents not knowing about the mental health issue. If my child is addicted to alcohol, marijuana, cocaine, if my child has been sexually abused, if my child is suicidal, I want the right to know about that. So there's already a movement. Pedophilia has already been legalized. They're already, every year, they move closer and closer. Every year, this government moves closer and closer to eliminating any parental control over their children whatsoever. See, when they got away with reducing the age of sexual majority from 18 to 16, when they got away with reducing the age of sexual majority from 18 to 16 and nobody said anything, when they got away with reducing the age of sexual majority from 18 to 16 and nobody said nothing about it, the American Psychiatric Association said, we're going to see if we can get away with removing pedophilia from the DSM altogether. So when the most recent DSM came out in 2013, when the most recent DSM-5 came out, I believe it was 2013, pedophilia was not listed in the most recent DSM-5 as a mental illness, as it had always been. When the DSM-5 was released, pedophilia was listed as a sexual orientation. Understand, overstand, understand me. I'm going to repeat this. The current Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Illness, the most recent edition, which is the 5th edition, was released in 2013, late 2012, early 14, but basically 13, right around the time my book came out, my first book, Psychoacademic Holocaust. When the DSM-5 came out, controversy struck. And the reason controversy struck is because pedophilia was listed. Changed. It was changed from mental illness to sexual orientation. As a result of the American Psychiatric Association listing pedophilia as a sexual orientation instead of a mental illness, many child's rights organizations flipped their lid. They went off. They said, how did you decide that sex with children was an orientation and not mental illness? The American Psychiatric Association responded by saying, this was a mistake. The APA said this was a mistake. We did not intentionally mean to change pedophilia from mental illness to sexual orientation. This was the response. You can Google it if you want. They said, we made a mistake. It was an oversight. We did not mean to list pedophilia as a sexual orientation. It was a mistake and they changed it. So if you go to the bookstore right now, if you go online and order the DSM-5 right now, purple book with white letters, it will say pedophilia is a mental illness. But when they first released it in 2013, it did not say that. When they first released it in 2013, it said pedophilia, sexual orientation. This is why some of us in the heterosexual community take issue with the Black LGBTQ plus community, because the LGBTQ plus community, and you can listen to my Clubhouse conversation during Kwanzaa week with the LGBT plus community. It was a positive conversation, but when you listen to it, the heterosexual community was still left unclear. The heterosexual community was still left unclear as to whether or not they condone or support pedophilia. Because when you add that plus at the end, of LGBT, see, the Q and the plus are concerns. The Q and the plus are concerns because queer can be anything, including sex with children. This is why we respectfully ask that the Black LGBTQ clarify what is and is not queer. Because according to my Kwanzaa Clubhouse conversation, and you can go to Dr. Umar Ifatunde on Clubhouse, but according to my Kwanzaa Clubhouse conversation, queer is any type of quote unquote non-binary. Queer is any type of quote unquote non-binary activity. So does queer include pedophiles? I need the Black LGBT community to clarify, does queer include pedophile? If it doesn't, let me know. If it doesn't, let us know, because you have yet to clarify your position on sex with children. I'm not saying you're for it. I'm not saying you're against it. I'm saying you have been very unclear on where you stand. Does queer include pedophile? In the plus, even if queer does not include pedophile, what does the plus mean? Plus what? Black LGBTQ. And I'm being respectful. I do not hate y'all. There's no animosity. I simply disagree with the lifestyle because there's no benefit to the black community. But I have nothing against you. I want to be clear. There's no hatred here. No homophobia. I'm not scared of none of y'all. I can talk to you. I can conversate with you. I'm not afraid. No homophobia here. I just don't agree with the life. But my question is, what does the plus mean? Plus what? Can we get an operational definition of queer? And can we get an operational definition of plus? Because you know what I think? You know what I think? I'm going to be honest. You know me, I shoot straight. I think the Q and the plus are probationary categories so that in the event pedophilia becomes fully legal, it's already legal for 16. It's already legal for 16. But if it becomes fully legal, meaning adults can sleep with children of any age, will you guys protest or will you include them? I want to know that. If pedophilia became legal today, will the black LGBT reject the pedophile or will you accept them with your Q and your plus? I'm simply asking a question. Now, let me continue. Live from Shreveport, Louisiana. Let me continue. Live from Shreveport, Louisiana. Let me say this. To the PWI college students and HBCU college students who are inviting me for Black History Month, please include a date. Some of you are sending requests to speak for Black History Month. Next month, beginning tonight at midnight, 96th Annual Black History Month, Year of the Tiger. Frederick Douglass and the Prince, Year of the Tiger. Moses and Aaron, Year of the Tiger. If I'm coming to speak to your campus, please include a date. I need a date so I can start scheduling Black History Month. I need a date. I'm in Liberia from the 13th to the 18th, so that week is out. Let me get back on point. 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 Brothers and sisters, when Barack Obama got elected, when Barack Obama was selected by the white power structure to be president of the United States, the main domestic reason for that, two main domestic reasons for the selection of Hussein Obama. Number one, to politically checkmate Black America long enough to strip us of everything we fought for these 400 years and give it to every other group, turning us into a permanent invisible underclass in America. That was the first reason. To politically checkmate politically uneducated Blacks who thought having a Black president meant progress. To politically check uneducated Blacks who thought having a Black president meant Black progress. To politically check uneducated Blacks who thought having a Black president meant Black progress. That was the number one reason he was elected. Because you think a Black face in a high place equals progress in power. You're wrong. You're wrong. You see that now. I told you 20 years ago, but you're wrong. So that was the number one reason Obama was elected. Second reason, to make the movement to legalize pedophilia more acceptable to the Black community. Let's be honest. If George Bush told you boys can go into the girls' bathroom, you would have lost your mind. If Donald Trump told you girls can go into the boys' bathroom, you would have lost your mind. If any other president in American history would have came to the Black community and said, it is your child's decision as to whether they want to be a boy or a girl, you would have lost your mind. If Bill Clinton or Jimmy Carter, if Gerald Nixon, if Lyndon Baines Johnson, if John F. Kennedy, if George Bush Jr. or Sr. came into the black community and said, I have signed an executive order that allows boys who think they are girls to go into the girls' bathroom at public school. If George Bush would have said, I have signed an executive order that if girls who want to be boys want to go into the boys' bathroom, it's okay, you would have lost your mind. Black America would have had protests as comprehensive as the George Floyd protests. You would have went off. You would have went off. But because Obama did it, you did nothing. So what is the link between pedophilia and the sudden right of elementary school children to decide their gender? What is the link between pedophilia and the sudden emergence of a revolution that says a 6-year-old knows if he's gay? What is the link between pedophilia and the sudden emergence of a movement that says a 7-year-old black girl knows that she wants to be a transgender? What is the link between pedophilia and this new movement in America, this sexual revolution that coincidentally occurred under Barack Obama's presidency, the sexual revolution that suspiciously occurred during the presidency of Barack Obama? What is the link between little black kids in preschool and elementary school where the boys say, I want to be a girl, and the girls say, I want to be a boy, or I'm gay, or I'm lesbian, or I'm transgender, and I'm queer, and I'm only 5 years old. I'm only 6 years old. I'm only 7 years old. I'm only 8-year-old. I'm trained in psychology. My doctor is psychology. There has never been a course. I've studied psychology from the age of 17 to 36. I studied psychology from the age of 17 to 36. Nowhere in my psychology courses were we ever taught. I never read a book in any of my classes: school psychology, clinical psychology, child psychology, developmental psychology, forensic psychology, social psychology, family psychology. I never read a book that said children are able to make decisions about their long-term sexuality in elementary school. I never read that. So can somebody explain to me how even white psychology never claimed children know what's best for them? White psychology never claimed that children can make sexual decisions in elementary school for themselves. We've never seen anything like this. But now in America, if your 5-year-old tells you he's gay, if your 6-year-old tells you she's a lesbian, if your 7-year-old says he wants to transform from a man to a woman, if your 8-year-old daughter says, I want to transform from a woman to a man, and you oppose them, and they go to school and they tell the white power structure that I told my mommy I want to be a girl, and my mommy got mad and said that is against God and against this family, you can be brought up for child abuse. 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 So what is the relationship between the right of children to choose their gender in elementary school? What is the relationship between the right of children to change their gender in elementary school? Zaya Wade. No disrespect to Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union. No disrespect to the Wade family. No disrespect to Dwayne Wade and his family. But Zaya Wade represents the black boy of the future. Zaya Wade represents the black boy of the future. This is what they want to see. They want to see black men and black women allow children who are not even in high school. They want to see black men and black women allow their sons who are not even in high school to decide, I want to be a woman. This is what they want. This is why Zaya Wade, no disrespect to the Wade family, this is why Zaya Wade has been given so much attention. I believe Zaya Wade spoke for National Women's History Month or something like that. How does a black boy speak for National Women's History Month? No disrespect to the Wade family, but the Zaya Wade situation, represents what America wants to see from the black man. The Zaya Wade situation represents what America wants to see from the black man. I'm not disrespecting a young brother. I'm not going to call him a sister. I will never, and y'all could call me, but I will never call a boy a girl. If you were born as a man, I'm never calling you a girl. If you were born as a woman, I'm never calling you a male. I'm not doing it. That's against my beliefs. If we have to respect y'all, y'all have to respect us. But let me give you the relationship between pedophilia and the gender revolution. The child gender revolution and pedophilia. Let me tell you where they merge. How does letting your child decide I'm gay at 5 and lesbian at 6 and transgender at 7 and queer at 8 during the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, how does letting 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders choose a different gender or a different orientation, how does that relate to pedophilia? Let me drop the bomb. Let me drop the bomb. I want you to understand, overstand, and understand. Let me drop the bomb. Here's the bomb. If Black America swallows this, you will have no choice but to swallow that. Stay with me. If you swallow this, you will have no choice but to swallow that. If you swallow this, you will have no choice but to swallow that. What do you mean, Dr. Ifatunde? What do you mean, Dr. Ifatunde? What do you mean, Dr. Ifatunde? I'm going to give it to you right now. Let me drop the bombshell. Let me drop the bombshell. Here's the bombshell. If Black America swallows this, meaning it's okay for my 5-year-old to decide he's gay. If Black America swallows this, it's okay for my 6-year-old to decide she's a lesbian. If Black America swallows this, it's okay for my 7-year-old to want to transform from a boy into a girl. If Black America swallows this, it's okay for my 8-year-old daughter to want to transform from a girl to a boy. If Black America says it's okay for children to choose their gender or change their gender, choose their sexual orientation. If it's okay for a 7, 8, 9-year-old to choose their sexual orientation, why is it not okay for them to decide who they want to have sex with? I'm going to say it again. If it's okay for a 5, 6, or 7-year-old to choose their gender, to get a sex change, to choose their sexual identity, to transform who they are. If it's okay for a 5, 6, and 7-year-old to choose their sexual identity, if it's perfectly okay to do that in elementary school, why is it not okay for them to know? Why is it not okay for them to choose if they want to have sex with adults? Why is it not okay for them to decide that they want to have sex right now? If I can choose my gender, if I'm old enough to decide how I want to live my life for the rest of it, if I'm old enough to decide how I want to live my life for the rest of it, if I'm old enough to decide I want to be gay, lesbian, queer, transgender, if I'm old enough for that, why am I not old enough to choose that I'm ready to have sex right now? If I'm gay at 7, why can't I have gay sex right now? If I'm lesbian at 8, why can't I have lesbian sex right now? If I'm transgender at 9, why can't I experience transgender intimacy right now? The setup for the setback. The setup for the setback. The setup for the setback. So all you black folks running around supporting the sexual identity crisis in black children, all of you adults running around supporting the sexual identity crisis of black children, I want you to know that when the pedophilia bomb gets dropped, you won't be able to do nothing about it because you already let them drink from this cup. Since they drunk from the cup of sexual identity in elementary school, they can drink from the cup of pedophilia too. And that's facts. And that's facts. And that's facts. The setup for the setback. Psychological warfare against American Africans because we refuse to study our enemy's game plan. Psychological warfare against the American African because we refuse to study our oppressor's game plan. Psychological warfare against black children, black boys, black girls, black men, black women. Psychological warfare because we refuse to study the agenda of our oppressor. The sexual revolution, the sexual identity crisis amongst black children is a form of psychological warfare. Checkmate. 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 And why do they want to normalize pedophilia? Because there's certain very powerful secret societies. Why do they want to normalize sex with young children? Because there's certain very powerful secret societies who require as a ritual the sodomy of young boys and the rape of young girls. It's part of the initiation. It's part of the initiation. They must do it. And so to reduce legal responsibility, they want to normalize the pedophilia so if they get caught, they can't go to jail. They want to normalize the pedophilia so if they get caught, they don't go to jail. They want to normalize the pedophilia so they don't end up like Jerry Epstein. Jerry Epstein was a fall guy for the white power structure. Jerry Epstein was not the be-all and end-all of the international child sex trafficking ring. Jerry Epstein was one of millions. Jerry Epstein was one of millions. Jerry Epstein was one of millions. He is not the be-all and end-all. He did not commit suicide. They took his life. He did not commit suicide. They took his life because he was going to expose the whole ring in exchange for immunity. Jerry Epstein was going to expose the entire international child sex trafficking ring in exchange for immunity. They killed him. That's facts. That's facts. You heard all the names of them people who was on that plane. You heard the names of all the people who went to the Epstein Island. And that ain't the only place they do this. They have secret places right here in America where they rape and abuse kids. Why do you think they're not doing nothing about the kidnapping of black girls? Why do you think they're not doing nothing about the kidnapping of black girls? And you wonder why black girls have the fastest growing suicide rate in the United States. You wonder why black girls have the fastest growing suicide rate in the United States. You know why? Because after you've been kidnapped and after you've been raped and after your parents have been threatened to be murdered if they expose it, after you've been kidnapped and after you've been raped and your parents have been threatened, that if you go to the authorities, we will kill every member of your family. And now, as a princess, you got to walk around with this pain. This is why black teenage girls have the fastest growing suicide rate. This is why black teenage girls have the fastest growing suicide rate. And all child services are a part of the conspiracy. All child services. The foster care system is a part of the child sex trafficking. The adoption system is a part of the child sex trafficking. The juvenile court system is a part of the child sex trafficking. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. The police department is a part of the child sex trafficking. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And guess who's the biggest culprit? Child Protective Services. That's right. Child Protective Services. These people who go through the black community taking our children away from their parents for the most frivolous of reasons. These so-called social workers and caseworkers from child services who be going to the black household, snatching our children away from us. There is a quota. There is a quota. There is an unwritten quota of the amount of black children who have to be taken from the black house. If I'm wrong, prove it. There is a national quota in every city. Philadelphia, New Orleans, Shreveport, DeSoto, Milwaukee, Atlanta, Detroit, Chicago, Jackson, Mississippi, Des Moines, Omaha, yes. Portland, yes. Seattle, LA, San Diego. There's a certain amount of black children who have to be taken from their homes. Why? Number one, child sex trafficking and child sex ritual from the power structure. Number one. Number one. Number two, government research and organ trafficking. Government research and organ trafficking. Government research and organ trafficking. This is why they do it. And the third reason, psychological warfare. Some of these black children that they kidnap, they are programming them. MK Ultra. Some of these black children that they kidnap, they are programming them. MK Ultra. Some of these black children that they kidnap, they are programming them. MK Ultra to go back into the black community as mercenaries of destruction. A lot of these brothers who go into the juvenile detention centers, a lot of these sisters who go into the juvenile detention centers are being used as research monkeys. They're being used as research monkeys. They're being used as research monkeys, and they are experimenting on them. MK Ultra for black genocide. MK Ultra for black genocide. A lot of these juveniles, a lot of these ex-military young brothers, they are being experimented on, and they are changing them into merciless killers. And they put them in the black community to sow death and destruction. A lot of our children doing the killing are not even our children because their minds have been altered by the government. This is facts. I just wanted to drop that bombshell right now from Shreveport, Louisiana. I just wanted to drop the bombshell right now from Shreveport, Louisiana. Monrovia, Liberia, West Africa, we got a lot to talk about. Monrovia, Liberia, West Africa, God willing, I will see you in 2 weeks. Monrovia, Liberia, West Africa, the prince is returning to Liberia after 10 long years. The prince of Pan-Africanism is returning to Liberia, the original home of Pan-Africanism, after 10 long years. And we probably have to make Liberia the original home of Pan-Africanism again, because unfortunately, the president of Ghana is forcing all diasporan Africans to get the COVID jab. I'm disappointed in the president of Ghana for forcing all your brothers and sisters who want to come home to Ghana to take the white man's vaccination. I'm disappointed. That was a death blow to the repatriation movement. That was a setback to the Pan-African nationalist movement. I'm disappointed in the president of Ghana, and I'm hoping my Ghanaian brothers and sisters put pressure on your president. I'm hoping my Ghanaian brothers and sisters put pressure on your government to reverse the requirement for COVID. Please, Ghana. You are the modern home of Pan-Africanism. You can't do this. But until you do this, until you reverse the ban on those who are unvaccinated, I'm going to have to make Liberia the new home of Pan-Africanism once again. I'm going to have to make Liberia the new home, because Liberia was the original home. Liberia was the original home. That's where Garvey was going. That's where John Brown Russworm is buried. That's where Henry Highland Garnett is buried. That's where Alexander Crummell did his work. That's where Edward Wilmot Blyden did his work. So Liberia, it's time to step up again. Liberia, you are the home of Pan-Africanism again. Let's get this movement popping. We must liberate all African people, because until all Africans are liberated, no Africans are liberated. I said until all Africans are liberated, no Africans are liberated. Dr. Johnson? Yes, ma'am. Okay, tell him, Mary, I'll be down at 11 sharp. Thank you. Brothers and sisters, my driver is here. Brothers and sisters, my driver is in the lobby. I have to cut it short. I have a tour of Shreveport awaiting me. I have a special luncheon with some of the community leaders here in Shreveport. We're trying to get a school in Shreveport. We're trying to get an FDMG Academy, Shreveport, Louisiana. So I have to go. If you need to reach me, 215-989-9858. 215-989-9858. If you need to text me, 215-989-9858. Hit the Cash App, $ FDMG School. Hit the Cash App, $ FDMG School. Hit the PayPal, paypal.me/FDMG Academy. Hit the PayPal, paypal.me/FDMG Academy. Peace and Pan-African.